a shot of Chicago, and they says, "Okay, we're in Chicago now, where there's literally a dumpster on fire."
You guys
There's a
ready?
dumpster.
Oh, jeez. All right, I'm going to kick it on here.
Okay.
Get ready. Get set. It's the Project Ion Podcast with Kevin, Andy, Jim, and Kyle, bringing you opinions on life from a basement in northwest Iowa.
Oh, come on.
I really don't think that a president can do much about that issue.
You are fake news.
Well, let's say it's a guy named Seats.
I make you scary.
Man, this shit whack, man.
I don't want to do a scam.
I want to save him until he goes through puberty.
How dare you?
Project Ion Podcast.
Episode, I
Hello.
think, 52 or 3 now. Hard to
Something
believe.
like that.
Yeah.
Yep. May
Yep.
30th. May 30th. Not a thing to talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a
Pretty
really
boring.
slow news week. It's a
Holy
complete
cow.
snooze fest.
You know what really just went away is Biden's gaffe, the "you ain't black" thing. Gone.
Yep. Overnight.
Yeah.
And a lot of the corona talk has died down. quite
Oh,
a bit,
yeah.
too.
Coronavirus doesn't exist anymore.
I've been predicting this is the issue that's going to shift our focus permanently away from that.
Anyway, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Dude,
Good. How's Hank, Jimmy?
He is doing pretty well for the most part. I don't know. Being new parents, I think there's the freak out over every little squeak and spit up
yeah.
and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that. It's like, oh my God, that kind of thing. But aside from that, I think all good. Eating a lot.
What's your diaper count?
I am still at 0 diapers, so
You're so full of it.
what? You don't believe me? Okay. Well, ask Laura.
You might have to.
The division of labor that we have is she is doing like probably 90% of the direct care of the child, and I do everything else. So
well, unless you're lactating, I think that would be
yeah,
pretty standard fare.
right. So she hasn't prepared a meal or taken out the trash or mowed the lawn or anything in like 30 days. So
Be a
yeah.
good drop, by the way.
Yeah.
Unless you're lactating.
Yep.
I
You
still
don't-
like that.
Unless you're lactating, you don't get an opinion. Right?
Precisely.
Very spicy.
Leftist logic.
Well, I was gonna do an education segment situation, but I don't really feel like it's appropriate because I want to save that for a happier podcast situation. So
Yeah.
yeah. So do you want to dive right into fake news here?
Sure.
Yeah, the first video on our list there is the OG Floyd video. I don't know if that's something we want to play or.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Did
Yeah.
you guys? Well, maybe we can play a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, we might get flagged. That's good.
You guys, everybody's seen it at this juncture, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I watched it in its entirety. Very difficult to get through for obvious reasons. Anyways.
What do you want?
I can't breathe. Please, the name of it. I can't breathe shit.
Bro, get up, get in the car, man.
I will.
Get up, get in the car.
I can't move.
I've been waiting the whole time, man.
So yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, this is the imagery from the week that was the catalyst for everything that's happened since.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Very troublesome.
Hard to watch for sure.
Yep. I think, are you fairly solid on the timeline? Did this take place on Monday, or was it Tuesday, or when was it exactly?
That I don't know.
I don't
Is
know
it the
either.
description maybe?
And maybe it is, yeah. Good thought.
Not really.
Nope.
May 29th. No, it's yesterday.
I feel like it was either Monday sometime or like maybe Tuesday morning or something, because I remember hearing about it on Tuesday. And I think as I recall, the protesting didn't really start getting heavy until Wednesday or Thursday, maybe. Today's Saturday, right?
Yeah,
Is
that
this
sounds about
day
right.
4 of protesting today.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, the clip went viral, I think, immediately. Just, prima facie, just on its face. It's pretty demonstrably terrible. And
Yeah,
in
I
all
mean, there's no
ways, so.
question that I think we're all in agreement that the cop is definitely in the wrong. No matter, I mean, obviously.
And 5 were fired. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Cops?
Yeah. I've also heard that there's more than one camera angle of this situation, so I haven't seen that footage. Be interesting to take a look at that. But
from what the evidence we have,
right,
that we can see, the cop is obviously in the wrong.
Sure.
Yeah, and I haven't heard any opposition to that. Even your rightist wing, Sean Hannity types, agree that this is pretty egregious.
Yeah, and then I mean, the only controversy is the response, which is what I'm sure we'll get into. But it's too bad. I mean, I just think of the police in Esterville, and there's not one of them that would do that. I know. I mean, not even close. And then you see and you read what people are writing on walls in a city that's like 2.5 hours away from us.
Yeah, that's wild.
All cops and it's pretty disheartening. But
yep.
So I guess the question I would have for you guys is, do you think this is an act of racism or just bad policing?
That's hard to say. I don't know. It's I don't know the cop, so you'd probably need to know his background, but
He's got kind of a history, doesn't he?
Right. Well, I think that's come out. He's had numerous complaints and so forth, and other incidents, and maybe even officer-involved shootings.
Oh, really?
I think. I guess I shouldn't maybe blast that out without being able to speak to it very firmly, but I recall reading somewhere. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've been falling down Twitter rabbit holes like all week, and it's
this
easy.
week has made me want to just take a sledgehammer into my phone.
Yeah, and it's so you get into the replies and stuff like that, and you're reading through it and so on. And I mean, the reality is, it's easy to read something that you sticks in your head and then maybe you assume is true or accurate or something like that. But I recall reading a few places that this guy had a checkered past and was sort of a problem well before this incident. So
yep and now has hundreds of officers like protecting him inside of his home, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
well, at this point, would he even? Well, they've arrested him now, I believe, right?
Oh, they have.
I'm pretty sure I read that yesterday, right?
Okay.
You guys know? Can you can
Yeah,
confirm
well,
that? Can't you?
I'll check.
charged, so I would assume if you're charged, you're probably arrested.
So yeah, I'm fairly certain they've arrested him and charged him with not like a first degree or a premeditated murder, but it was some lower
Third
level,
degree.
like third degree maybe, and maybe some sort of a
Manslaughter.
like a negligent manslaughter or something. Because after I saw this video, I was sort of curious about it, so I ran through Minnesota murder statutes real quick just to kind of see what they look like.
As you do.
And anyways, you know, I mean, when it boils, as a lawyer, you think about everything in terms of, okay, well, how does the fact pattern apply to the law? I mean, that's what lawyers do at its most kind of reductionist level. And yeah, you know, you think about, well, okay, will each element of this particular statute be satisfied in some way, you know, beyond a reasonable doubt was the evidence standard in criminal capacity. And it got to me thinking, it's like, well, you know, it may be a difficult thing to prove that those highest levels of murder that carry the, you know, the life in prison or death penalty, that sort of type of a penalty for committing the crime. But I certainly think it would get caught at one of those lower degrees.
I have the charges here.
Okay.
Let's see. He's 44 years old, arrested late Friday morning, charged with third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter, days after he pinned Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes, being held in the Ramsey County Jail on $500,000 bail.
Okay.
So he is in custody.
All right.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, why do you need to be on that dude's neck for 9 minutes? You have 4 other cops around you. What are you waiting for?
Right.
I guess.
And then why weren't the other police
Yeah.
pulling this guy off of him, you know?
Yeah.
You guys are familiar with Devin Tracy, the YouTuber, aren't you? I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you are, right, Kyle?
AIU.
Well, you know what his video content is like for the most part, especially when it comes to, you know, the white perpetrator, black victim type of situation.
Yeah.
He operates kind of under this ultra analytical. He has a very high burden of proof, I think, that he demands on everything. And, you know, perhaps wrongly in certain situations, he comes to the conclusion that things are not what they seem. But even he took a look at this video and made a video about it himself and was very quick to condemn this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that spoke volumes to me coming from that guy.
Yep. And there's cases like with I forget what his name was, the hands up, don't shoot guy.
Is that Trayvon?
No.
Yeah.
Brown, I think.
Was that
his
Michael?
last name.
Was that the Ferguson one?
Yeah, Michael Brown. And there you had, you know, a lot of people defending the police in that case, but here I haven't heard one person defending this guy.
It's a good point.
And I don't know if they had body cam or video evidence of the Michael Brown thing, but a lot came out in that case where it wasn't initially just hands up, don't shoot. In fact, I don't even think he said that, did he? I think that was all fabricated.
Yeah, that was a myth. Fake news.
But yeah, there's not one person, and I don't think if you're a rational person, a moral person, that you could defend that. I mean, that's bad.
Hmm.
But what really chaves me is that now you have, you know, the riots and the mobs that are lumping this dude in with the rest of all the police force. And it really hit home because the other night, what was it, last night, or maybe it's the night before, my brother-in-law is a police officer down in Des Moines, and he got called out to, you know, wrangle the riots. So it's I don't know, it's a strange feeling, I guess. I don't know how to feel about it.
Hey, Cole, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, very good. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
Hanging
How are
in
you
there.
guys?
Good. Thanks for hopping on. Anyways, we've been talking about the real slow news week that we've been having here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any particular anything you want to say right off the bat on this subject at all, or?
Well, I don't know how he didn't notice that the guy stopped breathing. I mean, that's the only thing I can. I mean, it's not like it's the first time he's had his guy in handcuffs on his stomach, and to not notice that he's not breathing anymore. I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at too. I mean, you got four officers surrounding you, and you got a knee on some dude's neck for 9 minutes. I mean, what? I don't know what justification that is, but
yeah, it doesn't. I mean, in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't look good. I mean, the guy could have had a heart attack when he was struggling with him, but he's still kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. I mean,
yeah.
And the guy's saying, I can't breathe. Well, sit his ass up, I mean, clearly he wasn't struggling anymore. I mean, because I was texting with Brett Lewis and he said, yeah, that's a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
The positioning that he had, he said, yeah, you got to be super careful how you, especially if they're on their stomach like that. I mean, they're taught that, not to do
not to do exactly what this guy
right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Just right.
I mean,
Yeah,
when I saw the video, I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's talking, and then nothing.
Yeah,
and then nothing, and none of them doing it. I mean, the cop that's kind of facing that's not on him. He kind of looked, he looks a couple times, and he kind of does look like, like he's kind of looking down at the guy, and I guess he's probably assuming that the other cop, is taking care of business. I guess that's still. You can't really blame the other two guys or the other three guys, in my opinion. I mean, they're not. It only show. I mean, at least in the video, you only see the one cop on him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at you can see his badge, and Brett pointed that out to me, that his badge is all crooked, and I mean, the cop looks a little disheveled. But they all have body cams on too. I don't know why they haven't just released the body cams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably for liability, I suppose. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Assumedly so. Well, I mean, if you're looking at just the video evidence here that we have.
Oh, hey, Jimbo. We just got taken down off YouTube.
What?
Oh,
I don't know.
really?
It says this video has been removed for violating YouTube's terms of service.
Oh, okay. Well, let's start another stream then.
Okay.
Oh man.
So I've got people that want to watch the live stream though. So if you want to just restart
Yeah.
So, all right, should be streaming again now.
So that was good times.
Yeah.
So we're on.
So this is actually not our first rodeo with getting taken down and copyright strikes and stuff. I mean, believe it or not, the Project Ion podcast is fairly notorious for our violations and whatnot. So
on the NSA hot list, huh?
Probably. I
Got
should
helicopters
quit.
flying overhead.
Yeah. I should really quit all my Google searches for AR-15s and stuff all the time. Huh?
Especially Trump and AR-15 together. That would be a bad
no
combination,
kidding.
I feel like. Especially right now.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting. So, I mean, if somebody went through your search history and cherry picked a bunch of stuff, I mean, I feel like you could make even make the Pope look bad or something. If you really wanted
for
to.
sure.
So,
well, they're already mining all the metadata anyway. I mean, they know. Well, whoever computer you're using knows exactly where you've been and what you've been doing.
Yep.
Yeah, I logged into my Google account today, and for the first time, I saw that they wanted me to enter my home address.
Yeah.
Not happening. Even though I'm fully competent, they know where I live anyway. Not happening.
Right, because you're not blocking your IP of any kind of way.
I'm not using NordVPN.
Yeah, that's
Jim,
gotten to
are
be, huh?
Sorry, did you start the stream?
I should have.
Oh, I'm not. It's not popping up. Can somebody else check it? Let's see.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Maybe we got flagged or something.
Yeah, maybe we may just wind up having
Permanently.
to record it.
You can go to D Live.
Yeah, super chat.
I guess maybe we'll be in big trouble, but anyways, we can keep going just with the recording, and I can upload it later probably. So, well, I don't know. I'd maybe we can press on to some of the fallout from.
Yeah, because I think we're pretty much all in agreement on the actual incident itself.
Yeah,
But the aftermath is probably where we're going to have some contention.
maybe. Yep. What do you want to jump to next, Kevin? Did you have anything?
Most of that stuff is just video of the riots.
Okay.
There's the Nike video where they're SJWing. The not unruly one is kind of funny. Maybe a good way to get into it.
Sure.
Clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started, and there's a crowd that is.
Wait, what?
Not generally speaking unruly.
Yeah, I that was a little hard to understand when I saw this too the other day. I don't know, just maybe a bad word choice, or what do we
I
think?
wonder what his definition of unruly is. I don't want to know.
Well, it only takes one person to start a fire. I mean, I could. He's not getting attacked. I mean, there's not a group of like men or people in mass menacing him.
That doesn't look terribly ruly to me.
No, but they're just kind of standing around watching a fire.
So I think if you're going to be as charitable as you possibly can to the reporting,
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
He's just being charitable. I would.
Yep, I would. I guess what you maybe would infer was that the protest perhaps started peacefully or something, and then transitioned, or like Cole is saying that perhaps a very small minority of people were the ones that started the fire, etc. But I mean, I think the next morning when the sun came up, we could see that it did wind up getting pretty unruly. I think there was quite a few piles of rubble.
Oh, I've got a coworker. Well, I used to work with a guy from Forest Ridge. He lives up in the cities now, and he went down to kind of ground zero and those. I can't remember what street it is going east and west, but that's where the majority of the looting and rioting was. And it looks like a freaking war zone. It's crazy. Burnt cars and businesses just destroyed. Crazy.
So what do you guys think about the AutoZone Hammerman?
The what?
Oh,
the
yeah.
AutoZone Hammerman.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if we can. Maybe I'll try to get a picture of that guy quick.
I wish they would have unmasked him.
Yep.
No one can be unmasked.
Well, all I had to do was pull his gas mask off, but
Holy crap.
So, okay. What I saw, I saw a video of this guy, and then I also saw some of the information, which tried to tie it to this particular police officer, and I guess I don't know what extent that stuff has been corroborated.
I don't think that has been.
Yeah,
but I don't think the guy has spoken out either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what I saw, the St. Paul chief said, this is from the rumor mill or whatever, but there's been no from the mayor or governor or anything like that. Any of the real, I guess. I mean, because of course the St. Paul police chief is going to say, "Well, yeah, it wasn't our guy." But I mean, yeah, how do you vet? And then they never got his mask off, so there's no like, does he look like the other guy? Sure, a little bit, but he's got a gas mask on and a hat. And,
yeah, I mean, what we're limited to
I
is
could look like that, I suppose.
Yeah, what we're
Right.
limited to is sort of the way his like eyebrows appear and his eyes and
Right.
stuff. The video I saw, this guy kind of walked from around the corner of the AutoZone, smashed some of the windows, and then like quickly turned around and tried to walk away. And a few
Yeah.
people followed him and were asking him questions and stuff. And then I saw allegedly some sort of a like text message exchange or something with somebody, and
Yeah, with
this
his
police
wife.
officer's ex-wife or something is like,
Looking out.
oh yeah, that's him for sure.
Yep.
I can tell by the way he walks and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But whether or
I
not
didn't
that's true,
believe-
yeah.
I didn't really believe that. I mean, what maybe it's true or whatever, but it would have been nice if because downtown has cameras in every corner. You know,
Mhm.
you can't tell me it would have been too hard to track the guy to wherever he got into a vehicle at some point. You know, all those parking structures have camera. I mean, there's cameras everywhere downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah, this is
So-
interesting. I never heard about this scenario or this situation. So the idea is that this dude is a policeman who purposely started the AutoZone on fire. Is that kind of the conspiracy?
It kind of broke he was kind of the instigator, I guess, to because that AutoZone was the first like act of like property destruction, I guess. So
White guy started it all.
well, see, there's the conspiracy. I didn't say I believed it. I just said I'd seen a lot of it, and there just hasn't been much. You know, you haven't heard much else about it either. Probably
Mhm.
because it's a conspiracy and totally untrue. But clearly, a white guy did break out the windows. Whether he
According
was
to
a cop or
Vice
not.
News, far-right extremists are hoping to turn the George Floyd protests into a new civil war.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think even Trump tweeted or something today about like far left anarchist people and Antifa and so on, sort of co-opting the protests. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy is an Antifa dude and not the
I mean,
anarchist.
you know.
There's white Antifa people. There's white anarchists.
Probably
Obviously.
most of them.
Yeah.
Based on the pictures I've
Probably.
seen.
Yeah.
Well, what else are you going to use that liberal arts degree on, Kevin?
True.
Yeah.
I can get a job right now. So
Yeah, exactly.
Gender studies only takes you so far.
Hmm.
Usually it's just do the AutoZone.
yeah.
So do you guys think that the fact that we've been quarantined and kind of pent up for a while now has a lot to do with the explosive nature of these riots? Or anything to do with it?
I think it would have happened. I think it would have happened anyway. Yeah. The guy kneeled on his neck for 9 minutes. I mean, you can't frame that in any. I mean, well, people are saying he's not breathing. He's not breathing. I mean, there's nothing you can. There's no spin on that puppy. I mean,
Yeah.
The reaction could be spun. So I would I guess my question is, do you think the reaction is worse given the fact that we've been pent up for a long time now due to COVID?
I feel like
That's
it could be a
tough to answer.
factor. Absolutely. You know, to what extent, nobody knows the answer to that, of course. But I mean, as I sit back and analyze it, you feel like you've got multiple things at play. You know, the COVID stuff. I mean, just think about your average amount of stress that everybody's been under for the past 60 plus days or more. You know, we've got
A lot of pent-up rage.
pent up. Well, and then we unfortunately have a political climate where everybody goes to imright.com and here's everything that they want to hear and are sort of utterly dogmatic and thinking that the other side is the spawn of Satan or something, and it's really unfortunate. And a mainstream news media that has a vested interest in making sure they run fear porn and every other kind of terrible thing they can come up with to make it sound as bad as they possibly can to sell their ad space, make sure people are tuned in. So,
which they're doing less and less. People aren't caring about the major networks as much anymore.
Yeah. Did you guys happen to see in Atlanta they trashed the CNN? Their headquarters or okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's I don't know, something about that video kind of creeps me out. Bunch of people just kind of hanging out. One person throws a brick, breaks the window, and then they all just kind of flood in there. It's like I don't know.
Mentality.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I want to know who this mob is and where they came from. Like, is there a hotline that you can call to say, hey, where should we write? Or how do they organize this stuff?
Well, they start out, I think, just like a walking protest. Then you get a bunch of, whatever you want to call them, idiots.
Thugs.
And thugs, yeah. And they're not good people,
Yeah.
So you're against the rioting, Cole? The looting?
I don't think it's really an appropriate expression, but I mean, how do you, like we just saw the white dude at the AutoZone is the one busting up the windows. I mean, there's no way to tell. I mean, we're not, maybe if you had access to all, you could, like I said, there are cameras all over the place in these cities now.
That wasn't the question. Was do you denounce the rioting?
Do I denounce it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's wrong. But at the same time, I'm a white guy from Iowa, so it's
So
easy
what?
for me to say that.
Yeah, what's that have to do with anything? Right is right, wrong is wrong.
I've never had a person of authority. I've never been in that situation.
And I'd say about 85 to 90% of the people doing the rioting and looting haven't either.
Probably not.
So, man, this is going to be a boring podcast, so we all kind of agree.
I saw an interesting picture. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Has anyone talked to Dylan? Isn't he up in Minneapolis?
He's home, or he's
in
Esterville right now. They're doing I think they're self-quarantining or something. I don't know why, but he's like they were just about ready to go back up there too. He snapped me today. He said, just when I thought it was safe to go back.
Yeah.
This happened. So I don't know. If I was him, I'd stay here as long as he can.
Yeah, I am thankful that I'm not living in a metro area.
Word.
Well,
right
shoot,
now.
your apartment in Des Moines is probably protest central right now.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I was still probably by way of the crow flies, maybe a mile from the heart of downtown.
Is that where most of it was in Des Moines?
I think so. I think they assembled like on Court Avenue and kind of down by the Capitol building and stuff.
I wonder if they trashed Aaron's Hy-Vee.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to find. I hope not. I don't think the damage was too bad in Des Moines, relatively speaking. I think a handful of broken windows and stuff like that, but I don't think there were any fires or looting or anything that was super substantial. But
I can't find the picture. It's long. I think it might have gotten taken down. It was essentially it was three pictures. It was the first one was a picture of the cop with his knee on Floyd's neck saying, "This is a crime." The second picture was some protesters walking around. This is protesting, and there was another picture of a bunch of people looting, presumably the Target, and it said, "This is people taking advantage of a situation." Like, no, that's also a crime. Why can't we just call it what it is?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing that has the memes that have emerged out of this have been interesting to me, and it's a lot of kind of trying to pigeonhole people. I it's either this or it's that, and if you aren't cool with this, then you're not, you're a hypocrite or something. And I mean,
yeah, I think I know what you mean.
So, and I guess part of that is just inherently there with memes anyways, because it's a small, by their very nature, you're lacking nuance and stuff like that. But I think some of these are sort of designed to be inflammatory almost, and I don't think that they're helping the situation very much.
There's a common picture. I'll kind of hold it up to the screen. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's MLK. It says this is a protest.
Right. Yeah.
What happened? And the bottom one, this is a crime. It's amazing how controversial that picture is, or allegedly. To me, it's pretty easy to understand, but I guess
What are you seeing that's controversial about it? What do you mean?
Just the comments. I'm saying I totally agree. Right is right, wrong is wrong. But the comments are justifying that. Actually, let me read one. That's pretty good here. First comment: murdering my brothers and sisters is a crime. Stay in your lane. They tried peacefully protesting the first day, got pepper sprayed and shot with rubber bullets. People are matching the energy they are met with. Black anger is not a crime. It's justified.
Anger is not a crime, of course, but the result of that anger can be.
Let's not forget the Boston Tea Party, though. There's a little property destruction going on there.
Yeah, against the government, not private businesses.
I'm glad you brought that up. So that was one of the memes that stood out to me a lot, and this is a version of it.
Boston Tea Party?
Yeah, this one was a version of the. There was I think multiple, but it was this same kind of stuff. Like, if you're not okay with this, you're not okay with that.
Right.
So yeah, it's
makes me wish I had a well-armored militia.
Just imagine if all those civilians in Minneapolis were walking around with M16, or not M16, but AR-15s and
heck of a lot more
people gear.
So here's a point where we're probably going to see a crossroads. I would say it'll probably be a lot calmer and less crime.
I don't know.
Because there was a protest like that, and there was a lot less crime. We have evidence.
Oh, this was the Michiganders going into the State House one. Yeah, that was another particularly inflammatory meme. I think the one I saw, at least, that I'm thinking of on that subject was
a big bald guy screaming in the face.
And it was I think the end of the meme was essentially to kind of do the white and black dichotomy treatment differences and so forth. Like, here we protested so and so's death and so on, and we're met with ridiculous overbearing police presence, and then here they're complaining because they can't get haircuts and stuff, and they're in the
they were complaining about getting haircuts, and the people in Minneapolis are pissed about some guy getting killed by a cop in handcuffs.
And they should be mad.
Exactly. Right. Being pissed, totally fine, understandable. What you do about that pissiness is where the problems are coming in.
Right, but like I talked about, it only takes one guy to throw a Molotov cocktail or just something, or it could be, that same person doing several of those things. I mean, for all we know, the AutoZone guy went around and started the places on fire too. I mean, he apparently didn't have any problem with property damage.
So you think you think it's a possibility that one white dude did all this?
Oh no.
But you said
Just-
all we know.
Right. Well, and as I was saying that, yeah, like obviously he wasn't doing all of it, but what my point was that one guy could, cause quite a bit of destruction by himself. I mean, broke out the windows of AutoZone, maybe went down the block and threw a Molotov cocktail into the Dollar General,
There's helicopter video above these protests of a lot more than one white guy causing this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And there's video of all sorts of people looting the Target, and I mean, there's you could watch video for a month on this stuff.
But I think I get what you're saying. Like one dude kind of sets it off, and then it's like a mob mentality.
Right. Or I mean, you see, you got one guy. Someone had to be the first one to break down the door at all these places.
Yeah.
It was 2 or 3
But I
people.
guess. But yeah, and then I guess that still doesn't make the rest of the mob justified. Makes.
No.
But yeah,
Like I said,
What bugs me about this is like the hesitance, the resistance to calling this stuff out, and like just coming out and saying that yes, this is wrong, this is bad, this is not how people should be reacting to what happened.
But at the same time, I feel like I'm not gonna put my shotgun on my shoulder and walk down to the courthouse and march around and prance around with my tactical gear on either. I feel like
Why?
Well, it's not I know I can. However, I feel like that's just as much. It's not, obviously you're not breaking the law per se, but I mean it's just that you're forcing that. I don't know. I mean, you got guys walking around I think it was on the podcast that walk around with like a bazooka or like a. I mean, the guy couldn't. Was in a Starbucks or something with a bazooka. I mean,
okay, but yes, that's a scary image and it's frightening. Yes, but was there actual violence as a result of that?
Not that I recall.
Well,
I haven't paid much attention to the Proud Boys with their AR-15s prancing around.
I guess my problem is like there's one side that seems to have extreme amounts of difficulty with people standing around holding guns, but then when it comes to actual rioting and violence and people getting hurt, it's not like we just kind of shove that away and push it under the rug.
I don't think any form of violence is good. I mean, that's just like in general.
What about people standing around peacefully with AR-15s?
I think that's what we have police for. I do wish that I mean, I don't wish, because I feel like it would end poorly, but I kind of wish some minority would hand out, AR-15s after something like this and say, prance around, see how many of them get arrested. I feel like there certainly is a different level of scrutiny attributed to the minorities, especially in big cities like that. I mean, I mean,
bigger level of scrutiny.
You don't see them carrying around rifles, and I mean, I'm a liberal and I've got firearms, obviously, hunted my whole life, but I wouldn't be caught dead, carrying one around on myth unless I'm out hunting.
That's your choice, and it's the next person's choice to do so. You have more guns than I do, I'll put it that way, and you're on one side of the political aisle, and I'm on the other. So I mean, it doesn't really.
I know.
Sorry, guys. I just thought of something. Keep going. You're having a great discussion, but I think maybe if I change the name of the stream, we may.
Oh, maybe I'll go live.
Yeah.
Just title it like Black Lives Matter.
We are
All,
Democrats.
We'll let's try something innocuous. Let's just call it Saturday.
Biden 2020.
Yeah.
Getting stiff here. We had a nice long bike ride this morning in our beautiful, pristine trail system.
How are the bugs over there?
They weren't bad when we were out. We were out pretty early.
I mowed and I look like a how shall I say this? A person that follows Islam. I had like
one of those Allahu Akbar folks.
I had a face mask on. I had sunglasses. It came over my nose, around my head, so you couldn't see anything. And I still was so annoyed. They're flying in my mask.
Oh,
it was bad.
Black flies.
Yeah,
They're awful.
awful. Can't even go. I mean, you can't even go outside.
Right. I know. Even mowing the other day, I was mowing. And it was windier than all get out, and they were just destroying me.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, I've been getting annihilated too.
Yeah, especially out there, because you got the water right there too.
Mm-hmm.
But then the black flies will go away, and then the West Nile vector will be around. So it's hard to tell which one.
Shelter in place.
Yeah.
Stay home, save lives.
Good grief. Well, I'm not sure if that worked or not, fellas, but we'll see. We tried. Gave it the college try. So if nothing else, we can upload the recording later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, being a student of history, the Boston Tea Party thing sort of annoyed me because I didn't really feel like they were exactly analogous. I mean, the only way to make that work in my mind is to sort of reduce it to the imagery only. And that's just the problem with memes. You lack the context and stuff, but yep. Anyways, so what do we have next here? Why don't we do the CNN headquarters?
Sure. That one's pretty long. You can skip around if you want.
Okay.
I found this one to be kind of strange because, like, why CNN's headquarters? I don't really get this one.
Yeah, maybe they.
Proud Boys. Don't CNN.
You think the Proud Boys are out there?
It wouldn't shock me.
CNN Center, we're just in the last 10 minutes.
Sorry.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Demonstrators have started to come up and down this thoroughfare of Marietta and break out windows of CNN Center.
Better?
It was just a short time ago that they started shooting.
Hey, guy with a gun. You cop though?
Where do you see that?
Just standing.
right
He's got
here?
a face mask on. Yeah. I can't tell if it's.
Yeah, is that one of the officers or?
My dog's.
Yeah, that is strange.
Nice rainbow umbrella there.
He's got a mask.
It's just a short time ago that they started
I think that's an officer.
Yeah, that's gotta be a police officer.
shooting what appeared to be BBs at us. I was struck with a BB pellet. It's unreal to witness here, Chris. This police line, we just saw an officer extracted. An officer was down. We don't know exactly how they were injured. Another officer here that was standing on these steps took some glass in the arm. These demonstrators are ready to confront these law enforcement officers. You have law enforcement in heavy tactical gear, protesters that are, clearly ready. You just see something else happen there. Another demonstrator threw what appeared to be a large object at one of the.
So, how do we feel about CNN generally on our panel of experts tonight?
I think you probably know.
Probably assume.
I don't watch CNN.
I think it probably wasn't longer than 8 to 10 years ago. They used to be pretty down the line, but
Yep.
I don't know what. I mean, it's probably the Orange Man that happened. They hurt some feelings that they turned, but I mean, it's MSNBC level bad bias.
And the thing is, they don't like admit it. I'd be fine with it if they just came out and said, "Yeah,
Right.
we lean this way."
Yeah, that's what Fox News does. I mean, that's what MSNBC does.
Yeah, that's my biggest objection with the state of journalism in 2020 is stuff tries to pass itself off as objective when it's just editorialized opinion journalism.
Letter to the editors.
Yeah. Jimmy claims without evidence.
The SWAT officers,
Well,
they're throwing signs at.
Oh,
that
go,
was
go ahead, Cole.
that was actually a protester, wasn't it? With the
The
standing
gun?
there.
No, that was a cop.
Yeah, I think he walked through the door and
Did he? Because he was
Yeah.
facing the wrong direction.
yeah.
He didn't have a helmet or anything on.
Okay. Where was he?
It's just a short time ago that they started shooting what appeared to be BBs at us. I was struck with a BB pellet. It's unreal to witness here, Chris. This police.
So there he
line,
is
we just saw
standing
an
in the
officer
doorway. Oh,
extracted,
there he
an officer
goes.
was
Yeah,
down.
he
We don't know
yeah he
exactly
walks
how
away
they were
though.
injured.
Yeah, maybe
I
it's
think
not
that's
a-
a protester.
Maybe it is a protester.
Why do
'Cause
we care?
If you look, all the other guys have they have helmets on and they have stuff that is, they're being identified.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just
Yeah.
another white guy with a gun.
Another white guy.
Good guy with a gun. Sorry, good guy with a gun. My bad.
Good guy, white guy.
I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, fellas.
Trying to deliver information. It's one of the noble parts about society, and these demonstrators have decided to come here today to take out their frustration and their anger, not just on the police, but it seems on our CNN center as well. These police officers now are advancing. They're grouped together as those objects continue to fly, being blocked by SWAT team shields. There appears to be one person in front of the demonstrators, Chris. I don't know if you can make him out on camera. He's got a white bandana on with his shirt off. He's trying to keep his crowd back and to try. It appears as though this is happening right live in front of us, that they're understanding the gravity of the situation here and what might escalate next.
Yeah,
If that doesn't scream justice, I don't know what.
well, it's puzzling to me. So, I mean, clearly the protesters had issue with CNN, at least on some level.
Right. But what?
But what level is that? And then to what end is the damage trying to reach, That I don't understand.
That was my biggest conundrum and why I put this video in here. I hope that you guys could shed some light on my confusion.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
I don't know. Maybe that was could have been a place where, a lot of police were just gathered and
Yeah.
Or there were probably lots of cameras around too. I mean, they were
Yeah.
probably outside. If they were walking by doing, they were doing their walk or whatever, they were filming it.
Yeah, that's
Unless
a decent
my eyes
point.
deceive me. It doesn't look like a group that would have been led by, the Richard Spencer types, and it doesn't look like a Proud Boys organization.
I'm still curious about the guy with the face mask and the.
He's stuck in the face mask.
I am. I'm curious about it because he's certainly not joining the cops inside.
yeah, he didn't shoot him either, which is good.
That's true. He didn't shoot him.
Patrol, local police officers, plain clothes. They've given these orders already to these demonstrators to disperse. They were starting to gear up with tear
But they're
gas
not doing it.
ready to
They've given the order, but they're not obeying the orders. I don't know why.
Yeah.
What's this? Who is this dude with the big hair right in the middle, to the left of the guy with white mask?
Right here. A
Is he
demonstrator.
wearing a mask, or is that?
I
what he
think.
actually looks
I think he's got
he's got
a mask on.
like? Okay.
yeah, or his face painted maybe.
Oh, I just think he looks goofy.
There, he zoomed in.
There,
There's a
yeah,
better
there's a-
better shot of him, Kyle.
Perfect. I bet your mother is so proud.
Used to be the world's largest indoor amusement park, the wacky world of Sid and Marty Krofft, before Ted Turner bought this and turned it into what is the Omni Center and then became CNN Center. You know, this used to be the site of an indoor roller coaster. It still has the world's...
What does that information have to do with anything? This used to be the site of an indoor roller coaster.
Killer.
Maybe CNN
just
ought to
filling.
look at, like, play the tape back and think, you know, if you're an introspective person, maybe listen to this and you okay, here's this riot erupting outside our front door, and I'm talking about how there used to be a roller coaster in the
Ted
building.
Turner.
You know?
Rich history of this building.
Yep.
Yeah, it's troublesome that no one's social distancing.
I agree, but they all have their masks on, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah, they won't get the corona.
Oh, goodness.
A little taste of some of the thuggery going on.
Now, that's an interesting word. It's got a lot of baggage, I think, at least with some folks.
Yeah. Twitter or Trump and the Trump and his official White House Twitter. Did you guys see that tweet get reported?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
so
about damn time too.
yeah,
About time.
the Trump tweet that I saw that
You got to follow the rules, right? We were just talking about you got to follow the rules, black or white.
mhm.
Yeah. So do
Rich or poor, we all follow the same
international
rules.
terrorists. They got to follow the rules too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Trump tweet, and I can't remember when it took place exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was the thugs one when he mentioned thugs, and then when there's looting,
There's shooting.
there's shooting or something like that. What did you guys think about? Are you familiar with that tweet? And what did you think about that one?
Well, I think we should clarify what he was implying. He's implying that if there's looting by rioters, then there'll be shooting by the police and
Yeah.
others.
I think a lot of people took it as if you loot, the police are going to shoot you.
Yeah. Granted, he
Which,
didn't specify with real
obviously-
bullets or rubber ones, but it was, I mean, another super presidential thing for the, current chief.
4 more years.
Well,
Get the job done.
You know, Cole,
MAGA.
I agree with you, Cole. I mean, that tweet or series of in particular, I thought, this is not what we need right now.
No, not at all. I mean, he's fanning the flames.
I felt like it was, I mean, to me, so, okay.
But no one else would listen.
If you want to, be charitable to him and think, okay, well, this was the intent, it was just poor word choice and so on and that sort of thing. Like, there certainly would have been a way to convey that same sentiment in a way that would not have been so inflammatory.
Right.
That was the issue because I remember
Same with protesting.
my kind of gut reaction when I read that tweet was like, oh man, this isn't what we want.
Right. Same thing I thought. I mean, and I
Okay, but should it have been
fanning the
censored?
flames on both sides.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
mean
well-
that's a different issue.
Right.
And I know Trump is. I intended to read his executive order on the Twitter thing this week, but I'd heard it got leaked before he signed it, and I was trying to find the leak on the internet, but I gave up when I couldn't find it right away. And so I haven't actually read the executive order, nor do I really understand the interplay between that and the statutes and stuff that supposedly are, coming into.
It's toothless, though.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I first heard about it, I thought, okay, well, all this really is in
it's a
practice
tool.
it's
I
a
know.
formal invitation for a lawsuit because, well, if there is anything, I would imagine it would be litigated and challenged immediately. So, but if it is, I don't. Have you read the executive order, Cole? What's it? Do you know more about it than I do?
Well, I kind of just skimmed I worked the last 2 days, so
Uh-huh.
and yesterday was just miserable. So I think I read a little bit about it during lunch, but basically all the but I guess was that it doesn't. I mean, he's trying to rescind that. Was it 302 or something? That protects the
platform
companies or what.
Is this a platform versus publisher sort of debate?
Yeah,
I think so.
Even if
Okay.
they, huh?
Well, you're cutting out pretty bad
That
for me.
I am.
Cole is.
Oh, Cole is okay. Yeah, Cole, I think the where you're cutting out a little bit there, but I think sort of the heart of the issue is probably this whole publisher versus platform thing. So maybe Kevin, you can explain that a little bit better. But like, if you're a publisher, sort of like a magazine or something, or what would constitute?
Yeah, or CNN.com. They get to choose and filter what goes on their website, and I think they can be held responsible for content that's posted there. Whereas if you go to the public square, say, which is like a platform, and I incite violence or I commit some kind of crime there, you can't hold like the builders of that platform responsible for the crimes that are committed there.
Oh, sure.
In other words, like
order he was trying to.
Yep.
Say what?
Yeah, go ahead, Cole.
Am I cutting out still?
Yeah.
I can hear you, Cole.
Maybe it's me.
Well, it's the old it's like you don't sue the telephone company for the two people that plot a murder and use AT&T or something.
Right.
Or the AR-15 manufacturer.
That I feel a little differently about, but that's a whole different ball of wax, my friend.
How is that different?
How is what different?
How is that example different than telephone example?
One was designed purposely to cause as much destruction and death as possible for the military. The telephone was not.
What if you killed somebody with a telephone?
I mean, you could beat somebody to death with an inanimate object. I mean,
okay, would you sue the maker of that object?
No, but when they purposely designed, which the AR platform was designed specifically because of the ballistics of the 223 round. I mean, if you look at Colt, when he designed that was the purpose of it, because he knew that the cavitation was right, and he designed it specifically for the military. It was never meant to be a civilian rifle.
Well, is the issue with what's really an issue with that discussion? Is it the subject matter of the thing, whether it's a dangerous item or a telephone or something, really at the heart of it, or is it more about some sort of an intervening criminal act that would take place related to whatever that object might be that would supersede everything else? I mean, you've got this injection of a crime in there. Obviously, if you use a gun to kill somebody or something like that, you've got a crime. If you use a telephone to conspire to murder, you've got an injection of a crime. So I don't really see, I mean, to me, the substance of the thing that's involved isn't really super relevant to the analysis. I don't know. So explain to me why the focus needs to be on the object itself as opposed to the crime.
Well, you could argue that, I think Cole mentioned this, a gun is intended to kill things, not necessarily humans, but and not innocent humans either, self-defense, hunting, etc. Whereas like the phone isn't manufactured to inflict harm on things.
Right. Not intentionally anyway.
Right.
The manufactured intent is not to with a destructive purpose, I guess. I look. You could look at it the same way as a car. I mean, that kills more. What I think it's like
Way more people than coronavirus.
so far.
I mean, we didn't even touch on black crime compared to
Yeah.
white cop on black crime.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
Yeah,
That's not a subject I'm gonna.
Yep. Well, do you want to move on to a different one here? Let's see. What's the Nike one, Kevin?
oh, this is just them bloviating and taking advantage of the situation to appear on the right side of the issue.
Okay.
It's amazing how fast this comes out.
I know. Well, you'll see it's just text on a black background, so
Okay.
it doesn't take a long time.
Oh, it's a commercial.
Distributed by Nike itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's their own YouTube channel. Wow. Okay.
Here's how I know they're not serious about any of this. It's because it goes back to the black on black crime. If they're really serious about wanting to stop killing and like saving lives, you would focus your attention on the things that are actually taking lives.
Like guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Circling back.
Well, you guys still haven't convinced me like why the analysis isn't about the intervening crime and should be on the manufacturer's intent with the product or whatever, the object that's being used. But we can save that for later. What were you? Finish your point, Kevin.
I think that was it. It's like we spend all this time and attention and money on things that maybe affect 5% of the total, 5% of the actual problem.
and there's a piece of text in here that said, quit making excuses or something. No one is making an excuse for this dude killing George Floyd. I mean,
I don't know.
I
haven't heard. I mean, I listened to some pretty right-wing individuals who are not making any excuses for that dude.
I mean, the dude murdered him. That I don't think there's any. If there is, it's an extremely slim minority. So I mean, this is just pandering to feel good, in my opinion.
So,
And like you said, I mean,
yeah,
police.
Go ahead.
Police
Sorry.
brutality is I don't want to say it's a non-issue. It happens, but if you really want to be a part of the change the part that's a problem.
It's actually the issue.
Yeah.
The 95%, not the 5%.
Yeah. 5% is too easy though. It's too easy
is.
to
Good
pick
point.
over and talk about.
Yep. It is very easy.
Well, so Grems has posed this question to you guys. Maybe So if maybe take a step back from the George Floyd incident and contemplate other similar instances of police brutality, or I'm gonna not do a very good job of arguing this position, I don't think, for obvious reasons, I guess, but to the people who see this incident as just the latest chapter in a long series or history of, some of the words that get tossed out like systemic racism or things like that, how do you guys respond to that, or would that change your idea about, you know, this particular instance if viewed in sort of a broader context?
I think systemic racism is a huge term that gets thrown around very cavalierly. Like that, if there actually is systemic racism in America in 2020, that's a big accusation. Systemic, like that's the word I like to focus on. Like there are systems in place right now to keep minorities down. I specifically say minorities because, you know, all people of non-white descent, I suppose. But like again, that's a huge thing to imply that there are systems in place.
I'd argue the opposite. I mean, affirmative action, path to citizenship. Oh God, what else?
Reparations.
Reparations. I mean, I don't.
Have reparations taken place?
I'd need to know the specific mandate or the specific legislation that targets a minority group.
That would be the systemic piece.
So
yeah, and
I can give you a good example of how I feel that so was it the election in Wisconsin? Night, honey. The election in Wisconsin, they for Milwaukee, they had like, I don't know, 3 available places to vote and required you to come vote in person. The same thing happens in a lot
so
of
that
southern
includes white people too, right?
Oh, yeah.
White people can vote.
But if you look at, and there's lots of stats in this, and I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I know that like have you ever had to stand in line for 40 minutes or 2 hours or anything to vote?
Nope.
I haven't either. I mean, I walk in and there's always like an open voting place. Granted, I know in bigger cities they do that, and I would take advantage of absentee voting. But some of the places, you know, like Georgia specifically, I think this last election, I mean, they're trying to cut voter rolls. I mean, to me, that's a lot of the people that
so if you show up to a precinct and you're registered, will you be allowed to vote?
For me, yeah. Absolutely.
Anywhere in America. Okay.
Well, if you have a valid ID in some of them now, I mean, you have to have an ID of some sort.
Okay.
Shocking.
God forbid you prove you're a citizen.
But voting by mail doesn't require an ID, does it?
But you're against voting by mail.
No, I like voting by mail. I think the voting should be, you know, November, you know, every time we do it should be a national holiday. I mean, there should be no problem with access to voting. I don't think you guys have
disagree with that.
I mean, no one should have to wait in line. There should be enough available voting that, you know, you don't have to have your kids stand in line with you for 2 hours because you don't know how long it's going to take, you know?
So I still haven't heard an example of systemic racism.
Well, I can take a stab at it, Kevin.
All right.
So how about this? Maybe it starts with you've got a minority neighborhood or something like that. Now, maybe this is a little bit of chicken and the egg thing, but let's just assume for the sake of argument that this is a high crime area.
Are we talking Asians here?
Yeah, I am definitely talking about Canadians. So,
you said minority. So
yep, minority, the Canadian immigrants living in, say, northern Minnesota. How about that? So, and let's just assume for the sake of argument that it's high crime. So, due to the crime rate, then the police presence is expanded. Because of the expanded police presence, then more crimes are brought up. So, and you know, if you
people are put in jail.
More people are put in jail. So, let's just say, you know, something happens, because of the police presence, you get picked up for something small. Now, maybe because you don't have any money, you get stuck with a public defender who encourages you to take some kind of a plea deal because their caseloads are extreme and they're overworked and stuff. And, they kind of give you some like rock and a hard place type choice of, well, if they throw the book at you, you're going to get X. But if you just say yes, then, you get off with probation or something. Now something else happens. Because you've got a prior, you get stuck with a longer prison sentence, so on and so forth. So
you're talking about systemic racism in the court system, I assume.
Yeah. So I guess so the characterization of the systemic part would not necessarily be, okay, well, here's a statute or something that's like a clear violation of the Equal Protection Clause, but instead, due to the practice or the practical way it plays out, there's a disparate impact.
So take that exact same scenario and apply it to a poor white neighborhood, and you'd still have the same problem. There's nothing inherently minority about what you just said.
So why are the statistics so different on minorities in prison?
That is the question. Who's committing the most crime?
Yeah, well, you make a good point that I wonder about, Kevin, and it's so, okay, you change a variable. So now we're not talking about Canadian immigrants in northern Minnesota, but we're talking
Ashkenazi
about
Jews.
Yeah, right. We're talking about them instead. And so in your mind, is the division more properly drawn among class boundaries as opposed to race or something?
That's what your scenario described to me. If I left race out of that, I mean, you could apply that to any poor neighborhood with high crime. It doesn't have to be a minority one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other, I guess I'm kind of undercutting my own argument, I guess, but the other thing that got glossed over was there was, in my hypothetical, where there was 2 instances where my hypothetical person committed some sort of a crime.
Yeah.
So
why would
you
committed a crime
with, I guess, and we're adding facts now, but like, okay, well, let's say the first one was bogus or something, or the second one was, maybe the first one was legitimate, I got screwed. Now the second one is bogus because I got screwed the first time around. It's worse. But
is there any kind of statistic that shows, like, I'm sure there is some kind of breakdown of crimes that are pled out versus, for ethnicity of,
oh, like, yeah, like a breakdown of like
pled out versus what's actually taken to trial versus
Yep.
Or just dropped. I'm sure there's stats on it.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I mean,
I should look into that a little bit. See, I don't really want to waste time on the podcast trying to dig that up, but maybe we could explore that in the future.
I mean, if you want to talk prison reform, we could get into all the good things our president right now is doing on that front.
Like
no good things. No good things. No good things. No good things. Orange man bad. Orange man bad.
I mean, they're trying to privatize school funding too. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Oh boy, we're all over the map.
Yeah, we're floating away from the rioting here.
Yeah.
That's the only kind of, well, obviously, probably because of my occupation. That's
right. That's why I brought it up.
The only kind of left-leaning thing I subscribe to is Common Core and all that.
Didn't we get into this one time when I wanted to start a private school in Esterville?
Oh yeah.
Take all your students.
And as I recall, Kevin, it was met with ferocious opposition.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm the contrarian.
Call it Kevy's Computer Science School or something.
Well, I think Adam jumped down your throat too on that subject.
Yeah.
As I kind of recall.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm pulling a Brian Williams and misremembering, but
I think you're right. That was a fun one.
Well, so I don't know. I mean, this Nike ad thing to me is more corporate stoogery, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
I just when I think this corporations can't stoop any lower,
Well,
they
you leave
managed
it
to
Nike,
surprise
I mean,
me.
They go pretty darn low. I never buy any Nike crap anymore.
What's your alternative? You Under Armour?
I like
or
Adidas.
Adidas.
Yeah, I like Adidas. Under Armour's okay. It's just. Bleh.
I just wish Under Armour would make like, you know, furniture and vinyl siding and stuff, you know, so that way I could like increase my conspicuous consumption, make sure everybody knows that I have enough money for Under Armour.
Yep.
Vinyl siding.
Oh yes. See that
All right,
logo
let's
a lot
do
over here.
Couple more. I got to get
Okay.
running here.
Word.
Oh, well, let's do you care if we skip over the Trump White House thing?
Forget it.
So this is a Twitter thing. I've been falling down the Twitter rabbit hole like crazy, and I've been following Breaking 911, and it's got different clips of rioting and stuff, and it's fairly real time. So this one is the courthouse in downtown Nashville's on fire. Protesters clashing with cops.
This is a good Twitter handle. This is Breaking 911.
I'm gonna follow it after we're done.
Yeah. It's great.
This is 2 hours ago. Chaos.
Ooh.
Police officers dragged through the streets in Chicago.
And you're telling me that's justice? That's just
like, where's? Why don't we have Nike ads about this?
Yeah. Nope.
Ugh,
I mean,
he's making me-
yeah.
It's a complete breakdown of law and order. I mean, and I guess that's perhaps the point of a riot, but
Bring in the guard.
Yeah.
Well,
I heard Minnesota is bringing out National Guard today.
So
About time.
Tonight.
That's,
yeah, but then you get some kid with a
well, so Cole, I mean, I think what you're driving at is my.
I
think
then you get a police car driving into the guys.
I share your concern here. I mean, like if we think bigger picture here, in terms of like what's the end game here? I mean,
Right.
My
Stopping
analysis
this is the end game.
Yeah, my analysis is we've got all these moving parts here as far as this riot goes. How we assign blame or responsibility or that sort of thing is certainly a subject for debate. But if we talk about big picture of kind of reduce everything to its most simplest terms, you've got civil unrest and then the government in opposition to it. And there's it, you know, I mean, for a society to totally revolt against the government, government's gonna government, meaning that they're gonna try pretty damn hard to make sure that they stay in place. And you know, if this is some kind of a Bolshevik fantasy or something being enacted out or one way or another, I mean, my concern is this is gonna get super ugly.
Yeah.
And I really hope that it sputters out before it gets to that point, because what I don't want to see is martial law and tanks in the streets and hard curfews and people getting just, you know, like wantonly shot because they are out after dark or something, and all because the government is getting desperate in its attempt to cling to law and order. So I don't know.
Well, you just said it, and Tim Pool said it as well. I was listening to him earlier today. I hope it sputters out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's such a, it's what we all hope. Like, we all hope it could just die out tomorrow, but we know it's not. And so how long are we just going to sit here and hope?
How long are you gonna watch your town burn?
Right.
Well, and
I guess
then,
until you get.
yeah, and that may be the next element that enters into this. So if the property destruction and stuff continues, and people, like let's pretend this stuff starts to float out into the suburbs, for example. Now what's getting targeted? Is this a door-to-door neighborhood thing where people's own personal property is getting trashed and that sort of thing? I think that could get extremely ugly. Now, what if armed citizens start to show up and counter protest the protesting? My concern is that the ramp up here could be so quick that it'll really get nasty. And if it boils down to we've got a line in the sand, and here's the gun side of the line, and here's the non-gun side of the line.
Where are you going?
Where are you going? Exactly. So I really hope that some calmness enters the fray here.
Yeah, but hope it's just hope. I mean, we all hope, but hope and pray, it's like, okay, how much does that do for us?
Well, so Kevin, do you think there'd be a way for the military to clamp down on this and at the same time not have a lot of collateral damage?
So from my perspective, just looking at the video that's playing right now, like there's nobody in charge there. People just running around doing whatever they want with no consequences. There's no authority there. There needs to be. Whether that authority actually does something, rubber bullets, whatever, tear gas, that's to be decided, but there's nothing going on there.
Yep, it's
I guess
dystopia, that's for sure.
The police are meant to apply the law. The military is meant to conquer. I get that. That's
and this is nothing.
Right. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. If you bring in the military, they're going to put it down on any means possible. I mean, that's what they're for. They're there to, they're supposed to fight and win, in any means necessary most of the time. Or the police are meant to apply the law fairly to all people.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's kind of the standard. I mean, the military, some army grunt knows about as much of the law as I do.
That's a good point. And of course, they'd be given orders by people who know more about the law, theoretically.
Sure.
But still, there's nothing here. There's no authority.
All it takes is this.
An itchy trigger finger. I'd like to think our military has a bit more training than that.
Wow, but there's okay.
Well, so my on as far as the sputter out comments go, I guess I'm hopeful that there will be a tipping point with the property damage and so forth, where people will start to recognize that it's reached a point where it isn't productive anymore. And maybe if the numbers are reduced, less people start showing up to the protest, then it's easier for this obsequious law enforcement that we've been seeing in these cities. It's easier for them to get the crowds to disperse and so forth, and it could fizzle out that way. But yeah, I mean, certainly the pessimistic view is a scary one on the subject, because it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, go through Corona, and now we have this.
It's always something. I missed quarantine. Here I was happy to be coming out of the Corona stuff.
We all would have forgot about it.
Ugh, it's awful.
Not to mention the election. Like, people seem to be forgetting that we have an election coming up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
The Party of Diversity has elected a rich old white guy.
Here we go.
All right, boys. I gotta get out of here.
All right. Well, thank you for being on, fellas. Hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we haven't lost our streaming privileges either, huh?
Probably.
I guess we'll find out.
We could always upload to the Daily Stormer.
Yep, we may have to.
I'm sure they'd be happy to have us.
Oh yeah. I'd have a target on my forehead in no time.
All right, guys. Take care.
Later.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Yep.